that is, look, what we've been trying to do in Ohio, whether you've noticed or not, is to give everybody a chance to rise. That's why we did Medicaid expansion. That's why we did set aside in the Opportunity Corridor. That's why the cabinet is doing it. Because we want everybody to feel a part of the state. This is not blaming anybody. This is really about trying to unite people. And so this is not something we just, I fell out of bed this morning being concerned about this. This is something that I've been concerned about in this state. That's why we fund the food banks. That's why the things that we do, and why we're so passionate about jobs. Because when somebody has jobs, they have hope. And these are critical issues for our state. And we are doing much better. But we've got challenges, and we're not going to turn our back. Yes?
Can you talk about the listening to her a little more? Who needs to be listening and who's going to be talking? And who...
Well, I think the task force, there's kind of three areas you have to go. You have to go into the urban areas, you have to go into the suburban areas, and you've got to go into the rural areas. You've got to see what people say. And we'll have experienced people who will be part of this and help guide this, because in each of those communities, there's a different set of issues that people face. John, do you want to make a comment on that?
Thank you, Governor. The only thing I would add is we know where there are model communities out there where police relations work and work well, and at the absolute core of it is communication, effective communication, and obviously listening is that first element. So I think the task force, while still being defined and comprised, listening is certainly going to be one of the first priorities.
Governor, do you have a deadline for this, a time in which you want to have a meeting or a point in time where all the members will be announced?
Yeah, well, look, I knew we were going to do something, and it was a perfect opportunity yesterday with these three ladies to say, let's just do it. Because I've been thinking about an agenda that is kind of broader than this, but events have kind of taken over. So I think we decided this I met with them at 3:30, and I think at 3:35 we decided, and then poor Scott Milburn was working all night and working with everybody to put this together, and just be, I know you won't be, but I would ask you to be patient with us as we proceed. And look, anytime you take this on, there's going to be, you're going to get hammered by somebody. Okay, somebody isn't going to like it. I'm going to go to a party, somebody will be yelling at me. They're going to go somewhere, they're going to be yelling at them. You just got to take it on. Don't worry about that, because if we can get some good results, it'll bring some confidence back into the community. What could be a better thing for all of us to do than to restore a degree of confidence and justice about this whole system of justice?
Governor, another area of the justice system is the courts, and we've seen in Cincinnati with the sentencing today of Tracy Hunter, I don't know if you followed that case, that race relations have been really a factor there, with a group of people saying that this was not done fairly, that skin color was a part of this. Is that something that needs to be addressed? And how might you?
Well, Alicia Reece has talked to me about this case. I mean, we have kind of regular communication about things where she gets really worked up, and no, I mean, I don't mean worked up like she's yelling at me. I mean that she's concerned, and she calls me up and says, you better be aware of this, and I get the staff involved, and so yeah, I think we'll be a little bit broader than the issue of just community and policing. It's all part of the system. I think that's why it's important. We do have some judicial experts. Mike can be very valuable in terms of guiding us in terms of who are some of the folks that we want from the courts, the prosecutor. So I think we need to look at the system. I think the real crisis right now, however, is what happens in the community when they see law enforcement. And that is what we have to address most aggressively. John Bourne's had a lot of ideas about ways in which we can improve law enforcement, training, the use of deadly force. He and I have talked about it, so I've asked him to look into Los Angeles, and he, and as Alicia points out, look at Cincinnati, which could be a real model for us, and a way for people to vent appropriately without having to commit violence. You think about the challenges we've had in the state, and we have been peaceful. That doesn't mean that people aren't angry. It doesn't mean that people aren't upset. But it does mean that we have distinguished ourselves from other areas where people have resorted to things that set us all back, and it has not happened here. So thank goodness we're getting ahead of this.